Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Ty, man, and we back with another video. Today, we're gonna be doing a reaction video. We ain't got horror, you know what I'm saying? Not today, no horror. I saw this on my timeline, and I watched like the first 10 seconds of it. It's crazy, bruh. So, without further ado, man, we're gonna be watching a video made by I don't know Sterling, IDK Sterling. And the video is titled, "This is what their bodies look like." Let's find out. I know you see the thumbnail, bro. Let's find out how they ended up like that, or what this is even about.
The audio that you guys just listened to is clearly very disturbing, and it becomes even more disturbing once you realize that these were the final moments of the 3 astronauts on board the first crewed Apollo mission, Apollo 1. I'm sure that many of you guys have at least heard of the Apollo space missions. These were back in the 1960s, and they played a very pivotal role in American history. Namely, they happened during the Cold War.
Bro, the 1960s, bro, that's like... Fam, technology was, bro. This right here, this little device, bro. This device right here, this wasn't even thought of. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Which first
and to take something up into space during that time
started 2 years after World War II and lasted all the way until 1991, and it was basically the Soviet Union versus the United States, capitalism versus communism. So smack dab in the middle of the Cold War, the United States and Soviet Union found themselves in a battle to space. Specifically, they wanted to be the first country to send a man to space and, going the extra mile, be the first country to put a man on the moon. In 1961, the Soviet Union actually succeeded on being the first country to send a man to space, a man by the name of Yuri, and because of this, the US decided they needed to ramp up their efforts, and they started the Apollo program. The same exact year that the Soviets sent Yuri into space is when the US pulled the trigger on this and made their most famous space program, the Apollo series. It cost roughly $25.4 billion to create it, which is over $100 billion in
billion with a B.
Today's dollars, had approximately 400,000 people working on it, not to mention dozens of astronauts willing to put their lives on the line and risk getting this mission done. Now, for the most part, these missions would go off without a hitch over the course of its creation, but the first manned mission, Apollo 1, was very different. For some backstory, Apollo 1 was set to launch on February 21st of 1967, and again, this was the first manned mission of the Apollo series with the end goal of putting a man on the moon. The crew consisted of 3 members: the command pilot, Gus Grissom, the senior pilot, Edward H. White II, and pilot Roger B. Chaffee. For Gus, the most experienced pilot here, this would have been his 3rd spaceflight, for Edward, his 2nd, and for Roger, his 1st, but all 3 of these guys had one thing in common. This would be their last spaceflight, and I don't mean that in a positive way. On January 27th, 1967, just 2 weeks before the planned launch, the crew of the Apollo 1 entered the command module for a routine pre-flight check. What should have been an uneventful day turned into...
I'm not gonna lie, I hope he shows what the rocket that they got into looks like. I just want to, judge the ingenuity and shit like that.
One of NASA's darkest moments. During this test, the astronauts, Gus, Edward, and Roger, jumped into the command module, and for those of you that don't know, this is where the astronauts are seated during the flight, which contained a very oxygen-rich atmosphere. Now, you might be tempted to think that this is a good thing when it comes to spaceflight, but for those of you that know anything about oxygen, it's a highly flammable gas, and this, clearly by now, you could probably see where this is going, is not going to be a good thing for them. And yes, out of the 400,000 people working on this project, there were quite a few people who cautioned against having such an oxygen-rich atmosphere, bringing up the exact same issues that I just told you guys. But the people that were running this project still decided that this was going to be the best choice, and it ended up turning into a disaster.
Bro, honestly, it's why rush? And who cares about who gets to the moon faster? You know what I mean? Especially now that they already made it up there first. I don't know, bro.
spark, probably from faulty wiring, that ended up starting a fire and creating an open flame. It was at this point that the crew truly noticed what was happening, but it was too late. They were already dead, and they knew it. Despite their efforts to get out, and despite calling out and creating the audio that you guys heard at the beginning of this video, nobody was able to rescue them, and this was for one specific reason. Let's think about this for a second. Let's say you're an employee, and you're working somewhat close to the command module when this very disturbing audio comes through. Most people's first inclination would be to go to the command module and attempt to open it and rescue the astronauts. But
Wait, so this wasn't, they weren't even going, this wasn't even a real like flight to the moon? This was a test flight?
This is that the command module's door does not open outwards, it only opens inwards. The problem with,
like, you see what I mean, bruh? If y'all wasn't Russian, y'all could have thought of that feature. And why wouldn't y'all have that feature? Why? He probably gonna explain it.
This is because of how oxygen rich the atmosphere was inside. When it got ignited, there's a bunch of pressure that built up, meaning you have no physical way possible to push that door in because there's so much pressure pushing back out. And no, you might be wondering if this was a mistake to build that door to open inwards, but the reason for that was actually for safety, ironically enough. They thought that as long as the door opens inwards, there's no chance of somebody accidentally opening it up during spaceflight. It does make sense on paper, but this is one.
Huh? How does that make hold on, bro. I need to hear him say that again. Safety,
ironically enough. They thought that as long as the door opens inwards, there's no chance of somebody accidentally opening it up during spaceflight.
Bro, nah, bro. This design was stupid.
Does make sense on paper, but this is one of the main factors as to why the astronauts were not able to get out, and even if they had got out, they probably still would have been scorched. Now, after the fact, investigators determined that the temperature inside of the module had exceeded 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The astronauts, of course, were trapped. They had flames all around them, and not to mention, there were toxic gases in the atmosphere from everything burning up. There's just literally zero chance for survival in a situation like this. Their last moments on this Earth were spent in complete agony, and if this description doesn't help you realize the gravity of this situation, this is what their suits looked like.
Bro, go back. That nigga foot was in his chest, respectfully. Rest in peace to them. Look at where his foot was.
You realize the gravity of this situation, this
like I said, rest in peace, bro.
Is what their suits looked like. Completely.
Bro.
Charred, no chance for survival. Easily, though, the worst part about this entire tragedy is the fact that this was completely preventable. Engineers, for a long time leading up to this project, had brought up issues about the flammable oxygen-rich atmosphere, as well as the wiring, and I don't understand why people didn't listen to them. The main reason, though, that's often credited for why this project didn't pay attention to its safety as much is because we were really trying to outpace the Soviet Union, and this was pretty personal during the Cold War. The deaths of Gus Grissom, Edward, and Roger had left a lasting impact on NASA as well as the entire nation.
Rest in peace, bro.
And Gus had already survived a near-death experience during the Mercury missions. He had expressed his unease with the Apollo program.
There's always a possibility that you can have a catastrophic failure. Of course, this can happen on any flight. It can happen on the last one as well as the first one. So you just plan as best you can.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, this footage is creepy, dude. This footage, this audio, bro, this is creepy, bro. Like, look how he looked down. Notice how he looked down when he said the first. He said the last one. He ain't really put no emphasis on the last one. But then when he said the first flight, he looked down like, yeah, I know I'm finna die. Like, watch this, y'all. Look.
On the last one as well as the first one. So you just plan.
You know what I mean?
As best you can to take care of all of these.
Bro, new.
So much so that he once hung a lemon on the command module to symbolize his lack of faith in its safety and design. And for those that don't know, more than likely this is meant to say the module was a lemon, which usually means a faulty piece of equipment that hasn't been built to standard. And prior to this incident, this lemon might not seem like a very big deal, but afterwards, it almost appeared as though Gus had predicted the future. In the aftermath of the tragedy, NASA was forced to confront the failures that led to the demise of these 3 astronauts. The Apollo program was halted for approximately 20 months while the spacecraft underwent some major redesigns, but really no redesign could erase the memory of the 3 people who lost their lives, all for the sake of progress and beating out the Soviet Union.
Bro, quick question. Somebody let me know in the comments because I'm still confused on this. Were they was this an actual flight to the moon? Or was this just like a test flight? Like they were in a facility, they got, you know what I'm saying, inside of the module in a building, and there was people outside, like the scientists looking in and like an observatory thing. You know how Air Force pilots are in like that seat and they're testing the G-force things? Let me know.
Now, at the end of the day, a lot of people say that Gus, Edward, and Roger had lost their lives for the sake of progress, which, yes,
Oh, also another thing. Bro, imagine the people that, have to be after them for the next flight. I know they was paranoid.
suppose that is technically true, but the fact that NASA was cutting corners like this and really failing to maintain the safety of their aircraft is pretty telling that this was more of an ego thing than an issue of progress. To this day, though, there are memorial plaques at the Kennedy Space Center, and this serves as a reminder for people who visit it of the 3 lives that were lost that day, and it serves as a reminder for NASA and any other space agency out there in the world that you shouldn't cut corners. It's not worth human life.
Yeah.
Now, as always, let me know what you guys think about this incident in the comments below. Drop a comment letting me know what you want to see next.
My bad, y'all. I accidentally ended my damn audio recording. I'm gonna piece the audios back up. But yeah, bruh, this was let me know down below how you feel about this. This was just honestly like rushing. Like he said, don't cut corners, bruh. This all could have been prevented. And to the dude that it was his first, I'm gonna say that this was an actual flight. It had to be, because he said that this was his first test flight or first flight or whatever. So for it to be his very first flight and it just go try to, you know what I'm saying, just bad, that sucks, man. But hey, it's been your boy Ty. Hopefully I done educated you or you learned something from this video. If you did, let me know in the comments. Let me know what I can do better. Or if you don't want to do that, let me know that you learned something by hitting that like button and sharing it to your cat, dog, your mom, or your granny. It's been your boy Ty, and I'm out this time.